G'day there, ladies and ladies. Now, there are a bunch of Pokemon nowadays, like over 1,000, but have you ever wondered what might be the worst Pokemon? And not just from like a battle perspective, because I think we can all agree that unknown isn't particularly up there, you know? But I'm talking about worst overall. A Pokemon that hasn't received any love since its debut generation and has just been like a terrible Pokemon to use for both casual and competitive scenarios. A Pokemon that you would think would be a little bit more useful. A Pokemon that has a bit of potential, but falls off like immediately, or not even at all. It's never been useful. So that's the kind of Pokemon I'm talking about today. I could talk about gimmick Pokemon, like that are like Ditto or Wobbuffet, but I feel like they are intentionally designed that way, and so like good or bad, I don't think that can necessarily be considered the worst Pokemon. For me, a worst Pokemon would imply that even with minimal effort, it's somehow worse than like, other potential bad out. And so a Pokemon like that I think can be considered the worst Pokemon out of all Pokemon would be Pokemon Ladian. Now Ladian is a bug flying type introduced into Generation 2, a version exclusive for Silver and Crystal but not in Gold. And so our first step in analysing how bad this Pokemon would be looking at its stat pool. And these stats are not great. Our best stats are Special Defense and Speed. I mean, they're pretty good, not gonna lie, like Speed's pretty decent, Special Defense is okay, you know, all pretty good. But the thing is that Special Defense doesn't mean much if you don't have the HP to back it up, and without like HP, it's effectively like a pretty basic. But in terms of our attacking capabilities, our attack and special attack, they are horribly low. There's not much of a difference, so you don't feel too bad for going attack over special attack, but we're not damaging anything really. Defense is also pretty low, so our overall stats are garbage, and that is considering we got 390. You know, Pokemon are considered pretty good, like around the 450 plus, so us having 390 is not a good start. And for context, I'll show you some other Pokemon that have 390 base stat total. And so here you can see other Pokemon that have 390 base stat total. And what you can tell from most of these Pokemon is that they are not fully evolved, at least by today's standards. The only evolved Pokemon here, fully evolved, is Ariados, which is kind of like the version exclusive counterpart to Ladian, so I guess it's not really surprising. But Ariados itself has a better stat distribution, with speed being its dump stat. So I think you can work more with a low speed stat and pretty good other stats than you can with decent speed and horrible other stats. So special defense. But yeah, it's just a bit shocking that, you know, we've got a bait Pokemon, we've got mid-evolutions, we've got base Yanma, and they're tied for Ladian base stat total. But, you know, there's more to a Pokemon than just its stats, so perhaps it's got a busted move or two, so let's look over its move pool. And here is the move pool for Ladian. There's a couple things to notice. First of all, across all of these methods of teaching a Pokemon a move, we are not having a single stab move. There's no bug type or flying type attack. Not that it would matter too much, because back in this generation it would be using physical attack, and as we've already established, our physical attack is very low. But there are other problems with this move pool. For example, best moves, like for damaging, are taught by TM or through egg moves. You know, considering if we wanted to use special attack, for example, we'll need Giga Drain, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Psybeam. You know, those are our best moves, offensively, in this generation. But of course, like, you wouldn't want to use the TMs on this Pokemon. Like, you need to invest a lot of TMs to make this Pokemon able to compete, not even in a competitive sense, but able to level up and gain experience, because otherwise we are hitting like a noodle. Like, our level up moveset, you know, is more focused on support. We've got moves like Reflect, Safeguard, Light Screen, Supersonic. Supersonic might unironically be our best move, but we do have a strategy. It's available at level 33 with Baton Pass, and Baton Pass has the potential to be very good, but in this generation, Generation 2, there is a bit of a EXP drought, so to say. Like, the amount of experience that you need to get high level, you know, there's a lot. We learned Baton Pass at level 3, and Baton Pass has the potential to be very good, but in Generation 2, it takes a lot to get to this level. Like, considering how many Pokemon you have on your team, this could be around 6 or 7th gym, maybe even Inter gym, depending on how you're going. And so that's a lot of the game where we don't have like our main strategy. And even further, we'll need to get to level 51, which is essentially post-game, near the end game rather, to get Agility, which is our main buffing move for Baton Pass. You could get Barrier for Ladian by Ladybug, and you could get Curse by TM, but that's about it. I guess the only other move would be Double Team, but overall none of these are particularly good for our Pokemon. If Ladian was a bit bulkier, like more health, more defense, these could be potentially good, because Agility, Barrier, Curse, Double Team, you know, they have the potential to be put onto a good Pokemon, and I guess like Baton Pass users are usually more of psychic types, so having a bug fly can fill that kind of niche. But there are some issues with Baton Pass, like you need to survive 1 to 2 turns, depending on your speed difference, to be able to set up a buffing move and then pass that on to another Pokemon. So if you manage to survive that, your Ladian is probably already pretty damaged. You're only going to get 1 buffing move off, probably Agility, let's be honest, maybe Barrier, and it just feels like there's better Pokemon for that. And of course, if you ever get Roared or Haze, or you just switch back in, I don't think you have the bulk to really set up. Like, maybe you can set up against Grass type in this generation, but that's about it. Fighting types usually have Rock type moves available, so the Baton Pass strategy isn't particularly favourable, and that is our best overall option, because there's no way we're going for Tackle or Common Punch, or eventually Double Edge with this attack. It's just, you got better Pokemon to raise up. So let's talk a bit about the progression of Ladian question in Gen 2, like, in a casual playthrough, where would this Pokemon be useful? It evolves at level 16, and 16 is around Azalea or Golden Nose City, but even if it was a level 10 evolver, you know, the strong bug type of Gen 2, similar to Butterfree and Beedrill, I don't think it would be that useful, because the first gen is flying, and Faulkner himself has another early evolved Pokemon, so I don't think that's going to be particularly useful. Second gen, Bugsy, we got a decent chance here, you know, but flexing on a Metapod in Kakuna isn't really something to be proud of, and even then it's going to be a very long battle. Kakuna probably has an even battle against us with Poison Sting, so going even with a Kakuna is not the greatest. The best we can really do is like set up for other Pokemon to like reflect in the light screen. Great. Whitney, we are not dealing with Miltank's Fallout, and just no. We have no non-normal type attacks against Morty, so effectively nothing. Chuck is probably our best outcome. We've got special defense for Polyraps like water attacks. You know, we quad resist fighting type. We just gotta worry about the normal types, and of course confusion from Dynamic Punch. We don't have any stab, so we don't do much to it, and it does pretty decent or bad to us. So while this is our best outcome, this isn't a good fight for us. Jasmine, you know, 2 electric steel types and a steel ground type. No thanks. Price, ice type, we're not doing that. Claire is hard enough to deal with without investing into Ladian. Right? They are definitely better Pokemon for you to be focusing on to help out against Claire. And so we essentially have no good gym, no good boss battle for Ladian. Like at no point does Ladian feel like it's putting its own weight on the team, which, you know, is pretty devastating. We don't learn Fly or Strength, so we can't even be a HM slate. So even a Bidoof in later generations has more valuable to the team than Ladian, which is not great, not gonna lie. But of course, you know, throughout the generations, Ladian has had the chance to be buffed, and all Pokemon receive a buff in the form of abilities. So let's check out Ladian's abilities and see what we can kind of do with it. How have they improved this buff that they care so much about? Well, they gave it 2 abilities. First of all, Swarm, which will increase our bug type attacks when we're on low HP. We've already got very low HP base stat, so if we manage to survive, it's probably going to be active. But our offensive capability, even with this boost, is not going to be too viable. And still in Generation 3, bug type and flying type were considered to be physical attacks. So even with special attacking bug moves from later generations, they wouldn't be particularly good here. Our second ability, though, is Early Bird, and this is bad for a number of reasons. But first reason, you need to be up against a Pokemon that has a way to make you fall asleep, either through ability or through move. Second, they need to be in a position where they would want to use this move against you, rather than switch out or just damage you. You know, you're a lady, you're not exactly taking many attacks. Third, the sleeping move needs to hit you, and they usually have a low accuracy, except for Spore and Yawn. And then our benefit with all this is that we get to have a better chance at waking up from sleep, which isn't great, and it is overall a worse ability than Vital Spirit or Insomnia, because, or there is one benefit to having Early Bird over Vital Spirit or Insomnia, and that is that we can use the move Rest. But with our stats, we are not bulky, so Rest doesn't really do much for us. It would have been better for us to have Vital Spirit or Insomnia, and considering Ariados gets Insomnia, it would have made sense for us to get Vital Spirit, the kind of counterpart, but still same ability, but we didn't get that. In Gen 5, you know, when Hidden Abilities came out, and, you know, we had the physical sexual split, we had more moves available, surely we have a very good ability. We do not. We've got Iron Fist. Iron Fist boosts the damage of punching type moves, or fist-based moves. And as far as I can tell, there's no punching move that uses special attack, which is our better stat. It's not by much, but it is our better stat. So this essentially amounts to nothing. If they really wanted to focus on the physical attack, we could have got huge power. There are Pokemon out there that have higher base attack with huge power, and they're still considered like decent or, you know, above average. If we had huge power, it would be something, but it wouldn't be particularly great. You know, there's other abilities like Technician, you know, or Tinted Lens. So there are ways that they could have buffed this Pokemon through abilities, but they just haven't. And, you know, there are other issues with going into later generations, such as Gen 4's Stealth Rock. They feared that Baton Pass Ladian was too strong, so they needed Stealth Rock to essentially knock it out. So in later generations, Ladian has just not been viable at all. It hasn't been viable in its own generation, either through a casual sense or a competitive sense. Hasn't been useful in later generations. The abilities have been pretty lackluster, all things considered. There are definitely better abilities for Ladian. Didn't have a good move pool at the start, never got a base stat total buff. Other Pokemon from generations have received, you know, small bonuses to like special defense or speed, you know, but Ladian has just been one of those Pokemon that hasn't. It evolves at level 16 rather than 10, in a generation that is notorious for having low amounts of experience. So I don't think Ladian has been like useful ever. It's not even a good HM slave. All you get is Flash, that's about it. So Ladian had potential. You know, with better moves, better abilities, better stats. You know, even if it was more of a supporting Pokemon with the Baton Pass, you could still work with that if it had better stats, better moves, better abilities. But it just doesn't. You know, it is quite possibly the worst Pokemon. At least other Pokemon get stabbed. Like, say what you want about Sunflower. It gets stabbed, it gets Chlorophyll, so it gets a pretty cool ability, you know. It gives you a sense of the playstyle, you know. You go, Sunny Day, breaks the Chlorophyll, Solar Beam, you're set. It's restricted, yes, but you are set. With Ladian, like, what are you building to? Your abilities don't help you Baton Pass. Your moves don't, and your moves and your stats don't help you Baton Pass so easily. If you had higher speed, higher HP, you know, even just higher defense, we could potentially do something, but this low stats, these horrible move pool, it's it just doesn't work. And so I think overall, Ladian is worse than Gimmick Pokemon. You know, like, there's Pokemon like Ditto, Wobbuffet, Unknown, Smeagol that are clearly restricted in a certain way to make them unique, but I feel like that had more effort, and the more effort means that it's not the most hated Pokemon, if that makes sense. Like, whether they're good or bad doesn't really change that. They've had deliberate effort to make them unique, but Ladian has had a minimal effort to make it, like, disappointing. And for me, I don't know about you, but for me, that makes it the worst Pokemon, and it's just kind of surprising that an Unknown versus Ladian in Gen 2 is a pretty even matchup. Like, that's rough. So, yeah. If you got an idea for a worse Pokemon, you can let me know. But, and the reason why we're not going for Gen 1 Pokemon is that Gen 1 Pokemon, you know, they're loved by Game Freak. Everyone loves. It also reminds me that we could have had better representation of Ladian. Not only is it the version exclusive, but it's also a timed day exclusive. Like, it's only available during the mornings. So there's a good chance that you haven't even seen Ladybug. But secondly, Bugsy does not have it. You know, hypothetically, this would be the perfect moment to have Ladian at its peak power, right? Like, you know, level 16 evolution, so even if it's like introduced level 14, 15, that's still fine. But the main thing is that it can set up Light Screen, it can set up Reflect, and have Cypher be more of a threat, rather than having like a Metapod on the team, for example. It'll also give you an extra reason to bring up a Geodude, you know, but so the fact that pretty much no trainers have it, and that not even the Bug gym leader of Gen 2 has it, makes you wonder if it's even, like, just kind of shows you how bad it is. So yeah, I think Ladian overall is the worst Pokemon. It has had the most time to develop, but has had a horrible introduction, no stab moves, low base stats. Later on, it's gotten terrible abilities that don't really synergize with its base style, and yeah, if you got ideas for a worst Pokemon, you can let me know down below. But as far as I'm concerned, Ladian is the worst Pokemon. We're not including like unevolved Pokemon. Otherwise, you know, there's a whole list of them. But you get the idea. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I'll see you later.